Welcome to Morning Mimosas, where we value human life, criminal justice, healing, and education for the Black and minority communities. What that entails: wrongful convictions, missing persons, cold cases, breaking stigmas, and educating with one goal at the end: making sure that we are doing effective change, one person at a time. Happy New Year, everyone. I am the same person from last year, but if you guys don't know me, I'll let you know. My name is Holly Sisa, and I'm the founder of Morning Mimosas, but some of y'all know that by now.
Hi, hello, humans. Happy 2024. I am Fatu, back up in the place to be somebody.
And as I stated before, we are Morning Mimosas, where we value human life,
Okay.
criminal justice, healing, and educating for the Black and minority communities. Before we get started, two different things are going to occur this morning and or afternoon or whatever time you watch this. Um, I just want to give you guys a Happy New Year quote that I will read out loud to you guys real quick. A new year is like a blank book. It has 12 chapters and either 100, 365 or 366 pages, and you are the author. My wish for you that this year that you write the most beautiful story possible for yourself. Happy New Year from Morning Mimosas. Just wanted to
Hey,
give you guys a little love this morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Before we get started on the episode, and before we talk about the disappearance of these three beautiful women, I want to discuss a story that took place earlier this week. Guys, we're only 6 days into the year, and man, it's been eventful. I want to take the time to address the situation that took place in Las Vegas, Nevada, here in the United States, because I know we have viewers in Africa and other countries. So I'm going to play a small clip just in case if you guys haven't seen it. Here it is. And then we're going to discuss it briefly, but then get back to the matter at hand, which is the three beautiful women, Miss Debra, Brenda, and Jennifer. But let's take a look at this idiot here in Vegas.
If I'm in a better place in my life, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not out there committing crimes now, and I feel like I should be given a shot.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that you get a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court.
No, that. Hey!
I don't really care to mention the gentleman's name. I just know he's a 30-year-old man, and at 30 years old, you should definitely know better than to be committing crimes of domestic violence or any kinds of assault on anyone. And the fact that he said that he should be given another chance, and when she told him no, like the big baby that he was, she told him, no, we're going to take that away from you. You need to do a little time. Rightfully so. Because look what you ended up doing afterwards. Look at the point that was proven. Just
well,
wanted to
he
say that.
said, I'm doing better now. I'm not on drugs, and then charged her when he didn't get what he wanted. So he hadn't. But as I stated, I can think of 50 million jokes to laugh at it, and I can think of the same amount of how scary is. There's something in my eye. I'm sorry. How scary as fuck that is. At the drop of a dime, it makes me wonder if a woman told him no without all of those people around. What did he do? What could he do? Um, I don't know why he the need to do that, as if that was going to help out his case in any way. I'm so confused. You know,
Right.
you're being punished for something that you did. I
Right.
mean, nobody told you go do it, and you refused, and that's why you on trial.
Right.
Used. Um, but But the way he hit that fucking floor like it was a springboard, he could use that talent for an Olympic team, but he wants to jump in jail. Because he's not going. I mean, I saw where she's already ordered that he is back in her court on Monday. By any means necessary. What I will say is that everyone between him and her would be fired. And
Absolutely.
also especially his defense attorney. Because as everything is going on, if you watch the video again, he's just standing there watching, almost tapping his fingers. I don't want to say he is. I feel like that's his mood, that he was like tapping his fingers, or he was maybe trying to get a grip, but he's watching. That also tells me that what if he saw people jumping on his wife, he would then watch? People jumping on a random woman, he would just watch? Absolutely. Look what he just did. I mean, the whole
all of them are wrong though. Every single man. Like,
how did he get to her?
How did he get to her? They're supposed to be at least from what I'm slowly learning, because as you guys know, we're both criminal justice majors. There's supposed to be at least 2 bailiffs, right? There's supposed to be at least a few police officers if you know that this person is a violent offender in the courtroom. Where was the bailiff? I mean, at minimum,
watched him. Everybody watched him. Everybody, and I do understand. I'm not slow to the fact that they probably were in utter disbelief and shock. And so maybe it takes your brain a minute to figure out what's going on, but you are trained for this.
Exactly. Yep.
You know that this is not the first time in the history of histories that some shit like this has happened. So that's why you were prepared for situations like this. But it just goes to show how police are trained to basically control their emotions in heated situations to be able to de-escalate. But they're the ones that's the hothead in most of the situations. And they're reacting off of emotion and not of their training.
A lot of police officers, as we know, do not. I mean, a lot of them do. Let me not knock them. But a lot of them don't follow the trainings that they were given. But that's all I'm going to say about the situation, because we do need to talk about
these lovely ladies
who I will show you guys once again. We just wanted to make sure that we discuss the situation at hand, because
these lovely young ladies, they were babies.
Yes. So we are here to discuss the disappearances of Debra K. Stewart, Brenda Moore, and Jennifer Barton, and they are in chronicle order. So the order that you see them in, that's who they are. Miss Debra was 19, Miss Brenda was 20, and Miss Barton was 20. Mm-hmm. And they all disappeared in 1976, guys. So it'll be almost 48 years.
They didn't really they really didn't investigate our kind back then. I'm sure, because the dynamics were, one was a college student who also worked. One was married, I believe. And the other one was a prostitute. I'll have to confirm that. I'm just going off of what I remember reading. And that they all ran somewhat in the same circles. So while they probably knew one another in passing or had seen one another before. For the vehicles to be found in the same area tells me it's someone that knows them. It's very interesting. It's very interesting that it's only three, and then everything stopped. That three would tell me that it's serial. So are there more that we just don't know about? No one ever reported missing, because one is a prostitute. So they were already reported missing and maybe not even looked for or anything of that matter. I'm not sure. But I think it's somebody I would bet that the college student that worked at Sears, and maybe the wife that had cheated on her husband. Her and her husband were no longer together. What if that was the same person? Because their vehicles were found in the same location or close to one another, right? You're on mute.
There's someone in the comments that stated, "Is this in the Denver area?" No, this is Austin,
No,
Texas.
this is in Austin, Texas. So you already know, really, they're not looking for us because they still wouldn't in Texas.
Yeah, so I looked up the area that Debra went missing and looked up the area where her apartment was. I was trying to bring up both maps, but obviously this was almost 50 years ago, so things have changed dramatically.
Yeah.
I looked at the area where she went missing. I looked up the Sears, and I looked like around the area just from the map, and I'm just like, so no one's seen any three of these ladies, because like you said, they all went missing around this, like within like I think like a 2 week, within
Span.
2 weeks of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And two of them were prostitutes, Brenda and Jennifer, and I say that respectfully. That's unfortunately that's how they lived.
No judgment.
When Jennifer went missing, she had met two gentlemen at a bar, and she was offered a sexual favor, and she was offered $25 for that sexual favor, and she was last seen getting into a van around that bar. And
There are more.
There's definitely more. And to be more specific, like I said, this story takes place in Houston, Texas. Austin, the capital of Texas, Austin. In the vicinity of East 11th Street and Waller Street. So for anyone who's familiar with Austin, Texas, that's where that took place. But we have to also be mindful, ladies and gentlemen, this was 1976. So all three of these ladies have been missing for almost 48 years. 48. As far as Miss Debra goes, and I will go ahead and show her again. She is the first one. She was the youngest of the bunch. She was 19. She was last seen leaving her job at Sears. It was, I believe, May 21st of 1976, because she wasn't feeling well.
What did she have? What something was wrong with her kidneys, right? Or was she diabetic?
Yeah, she had chronic kidney disease. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so she wasn't feeling well, and she decided to leave work to make an appointment at the Students Health Center located at the University of Texas. She never arrived to that appointment, and here we are all these years later now discussing it. It was the following morning, which was May 22nd. Her car was found abandoned a mile from her apartment, and her apartment was the 2700 block of Moore Road there in Austin. So, and that's pertaining to the first victim you guys see here, Miss Debra. It's interesting how the police think that all these cases are connected. yet were never able to identify the van that Miss Jennifer got into.
Right.
That's my question about that. And then as far as Miss Brenda, let's go ahead and talk about Miss Brenda. And once again, I will show you guys
Wait
all
a
three.
second. Before
Yes, ma'am.
you talk about her, I will say though, back then they didn't have the technology. So if the van wasn't from Austin or even Texas, they probably would have never even figured it out.
That
Or
is true.
because I'm trying to think if it even had license plates back then, did we?
Mhm.
That
It
you
was.
like the actual paper plate that you had to put on the front and the back.
So when Miss Jennifer went missing, the witnesses that saw the it was either like a gold color band or a beige, as they said. They had California plates, so you would be correct. They did not have that technology to track plates like that. So that's another thing that adds a level of intrigue. Obviously, those California plates that had done this to, at least from what we know, Jennifer's part when she was leaving the bar.
Can you imagine if that was just some college student and now he did that and now he's just lived his life out as if he didn't just take people's lives? Like, it's not absurd, but
it bothers me when a murderer gets away with something and gets to live a full life. There's a case actually in front of the building I live in, of a Colorado State trooper that was murdered in front of that building in 1973. And it's unsolved till today. State trooper. And whoever the two teenagers
they in that and still didn't find anything. What the fuck?
Nope. And those teenagers would be in their 60s, almost 70s by now. So, I mean, same for the wonderful ladies we're talking about. Let's be mindful. When these ladies went missing, they were 19, 20, and 20. And I'm saying that in the order of Debra, Jennifer, and Brenda. These ladies should be in their 60s, almost 70s. Can we put some perspective into that?
They would have possibly had children and
grandchildren and maybe even some great grands
by now. Yeah, by now, probably working on the great grand by now.
It's very
devastating because of the times, the color of their skins, and probably not that much of effort was done to even.
Of course, nothing was done. They think so. I mean, let's talk about it now. It's 2024, and it's the same thing now. They still don't care about our cases. We're still not the top of the heap. We're still at the bottom of the totem pole.
You may, I mean, if it connects to another case of somebody that's they deem better than you, then you may get it solved.
Huge may.
Maybe.
Huge may.
Guarantee.
They don't care about anything but themselves, unfortunately. It's quite sad. Like I said, you guys, so they were able to, put these pieces together. Three ladies were maybe, connected because of like the timing, and it's been, a few days apart and everything else. But you guys were able to put that together. But you guys didn't ask especially the people that saw Jennifer get taken in that van. What did the people look like? Did you see the plate number? Like, it's, and I love to say this because I was going to say I hate to say this, but I love to say this. You guys do shitty investigations. And I just don't get it. I don't care that you guys don't like my skin tone.
But you know, another layer to
Good job.
it, though. What type
Yeah,
of back then are we really going to tell our business?
that's true too.
There's so many layers because there's so many piles of heap of negativity on before we get down to what should be no matter what overall positive. Um at the top of the shitty pile is that they were young Black women who they probably thought were nothing anyway, so they didn't put that much effort into it. And then if they were at they go to a nightclub and it's Black people are really not going to tell them information. And even if they do, because somebody is strong enough to stand up somewhere, do they take it seriously?
No. Mhm. Our
It's
lives.
that's why it was smart to kill us back then, and still is, right? Because nobody cares enough to find out what really happened.
But we do.
For sure.
We care enough. We care enough
Testing,
that
man.
we're gonna do something about this, even if we have to close this case ourselves. I mean, obviously, no one will be arrested. I mean, this is. I mean, unless those people are still alive and are able to face prosecution. I mean, I've seen cases be closed after 40 years, so
Mm-hmm.
that can happen. But that
You
also depends on the
died
fact that
put
police people
murderer
here.
by their name.
But we're gonna go ahead and talk about Miss Brenda Moore. So she is the one in the middle there. She was 20 years old. Miss Brenda Moore went missing actually in March, on March 7th, 1976. She was never heard from again. Her coworkers found her abandoned vehicle at the 1900 block of Colato Street with her keys locked inside. And she was the one that was married, and her husband was, they were separated at the time. So there's a little bit about her. She was allegedly a prostitute. I want to say that, who frequented the 11th Street area. The place that Miss Barton was last seen was 11th and Waller Street. So there's that connection there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's not too much information on Miss Moore. They don't even have her date of birth.
Yeah, like why? Why don't you have this information?
There's not a lot. There's not a lot on her. It's actually really sad. When I was researching this case, so let me go ahead. When I was researching this case, it was really very frustrating, honestly, to find certain information. I'm grateful for the information that we are able to find, and then obviously, we can dig into it a little deeper and get our hypotheses. Excuse me, let me do that right. And come to our own conclusions. But 2 of them went missing in May, 1 went missing in March. Now we're going to talk about possibilities. Now we're going to talk about Miss Brenda Moore first, because she went missing before Miss Debra and Miss Jennifer. She was married and separated from her husband. Now, although the police may think that these two cases are related, we also need to keep in mind of what happens when 2 spouses are separated and are going through a divorce.
Right.
Was the husband questioned in the disappearance of his wife? We don't know, because there's not too much information on this case. I mean, it blows my mind. I'll be very, very honest with you guys. It blows my mind. There's not too much on Brenda's case. Like, I was able to find a lot more on Miss Debra Stewart and Miss Jennifer Barton. And there's really not too much.
Like, where's her family? to fill in the gap somewhere. If the husband is not giving you the information, and if he's not being forthcoming, may there be a reason why?
It's, like I said, I have a lot of questions pertaining to this case. And obviously, because of the year that it took place, I'm not able to find anybody on social media or anything pertaining. And, I can't ask the husband because I don't know if he's deceased or not. There's no information.
That's
on this case.
crazy. That's so everybody just fell off the face of the earth, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. Like,
Odd.
I can't even find like excerpts or not excerpts. I think that's the word. Like from like the family of like all three victims. I wasn't able to find any of that. I just, there's nothing from 1976 that I don't know.
I think it's such a disservice. You got paid to do nothing. Because, I mean, they still continue to do nothing. But if these were, I don't even know what to say. I don't want to say older women. Like, did they deem that they were nobody because they were young and thought that they just ran off? Because the thing is if you're young, you just wander off. And truthfully, back in those days, people did just wander off. I mean, there were no cell phones, there were no everything was basically snail mail, but kids would go hitchhiking and be gone, and then they're gone for long periods of time.
Right.
But they usually would take their vehicles if they had one. So this is not the case with these ladies. You guys just said, fuck them. We don't have no information and we ain't finding none either. We're going to say we did.
Like I said, it's very disheartening, and I'm going to talk about this when it comes to all missing person cases. And I'm going to mention a few of them as we go along, because I like to make sure that you guys hear these victims' names. There's a one that bothers me a whole lot, and that's the one of the mother and the daughter that went missing 17 years apart. Larisha and Miss Wanda Walker.
That is...
I don't know what the state of Tennessee is doing with that one, but they found so Miss Wanda went missing in October of 2016. Her daughter went missing in November of 1999. And Larisha, who went missing in 99, her car was never found. And I don't really know what to do with that one because her car was never found either. So she went missing, her car went missing, and that's that. And then Miss Wanda, who was looking for her daughter all those years, ended up going missing as well. A month.
No wonder if she found out and that person was still alive and unalived her. Because I can imagine she never stopped looking. And remember when we talked about that, I said it had to be the same person, or like they have to be connected some type of way. That's just, what are the odds of that?
I'm sorry, like I'm gonna say this because people love to say this bullshit, like, that's just a coincidence.
No.
Not everything in life is a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not. It's just not. I need people to truly open their eyes. Where's the investigation once a car is found? Okay, you guys found both these ladies' cars abandoned days after they disappeared. And then what? Everybody knew that Miss Debra had a disease. She wasn't going out looking for no trouble. She literally left her job at Sears to go to the university that she was going to. She was a student at the University of Texas. She was going there to get treatment at the health center. What happened from the time she left her job to go get treatment at the health center at her school? Like, was that van
process it? But they probably took everything out of it and bagged it up, or they took it to the pound and just let it sit there. I'm bad with names. What's the gentleman who they found his car and then didn't process it and then turned it over to the family?
Eotis Harris III.
There you go.
Who also went missing in the state of Texas from Fort Worth, Texas, and his car was found 3 hours away in Aspermont.
Correct.
But
Texas.
I'm sorry, we're gonna do a part 2 to that, because I truly believe that brother did not end up in Aspermont.
No,
I don't think he ended up in Aspermont, because remember when we talked about that case, everything that was going on was bouncing off of different places. First, it was Aspermont, and then it was Paducah. And
remember it was Corpus Christi or something like that?
Yes.
No.
His case is.
I would probably bet that it never left where he was. And they just made some shit up because they didn't process the car. They just gave it back.
Exactly. And that's what they did. That's what they did in 1976 as well. Correct. It just seems like, well, I don't even know if they processed it, because there's not a lot of information about it.
No, they couldn't have processed it, because if they had, they would have found some type of information. Sometimes women don't keep a clean car, so to speak. And what I mean, I'm not talking about trashy, but we have mail in there sometimes. There's something in there with her name on it and her date of birth. It's some type of bill. There's something in there where you could find out who she is. You just didn't do it. You did. I'd be willing to bet that it wasn't processed. And if they did, it's probably still sitting somewhere. If not just thrown away.
After all these years.
Yeah, but technology now, so why aren't they running? Why aren't they running the information? Are they waiting for me to get done with school?
They're waiting for me they're waiting for both of us to be done with school so they can get these cases done. So that way they can take the credit. Oh, don't get me started.
And what's crazy is I don't even give a shit about that. Just get it done. Just get it done. I don't give a shit about, you can take the credits. No, I'm getting my paycheck. You can take whatever credit you need, but let's get the job done. Like 40, 50 years. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 40 years, 30 years, 20 years.
Like even a year is too long with nothing.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like a year is too long with nothing.
Okay, especially now, right? Obviously, back in the 70s, technology was not advanced. DNA was more than likely in its infancy, and everything else. Because the only thing that was, I guess, maybe a little bit advanced was the fingerprints back then.
Yeah.
But everything else was not as advanced as it is today in 2024.
Computerized, yeah.
So what they need to do, if they my whole thing is, if you guys really want to get these cases solved, do the work that's necessary, so you guys don't have I don't know if you've seen like Criminal Minds and SVU when they go to the evidence locker and there's just boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. I'm like, yo, get them cleaned out, get them solved, get them filed. Like, let's do some work.
I wonder if it would be interesting to know if they take a year. So if they know that by a certain year, so let's go to 1940, 20, 30, whatever, right? And they know that these people are deceased. Do they stop working on their case thinking that nobody in the family remembers that Uncle so-and-so or somebody's aunt or grandmother was murdered and we still
There
don't
it
know
is.
who it is? So
Exactly.
it's just a cutoff. You reach this time right here. Once you reach this year, we're not going to even investigate. We're not going to take time to investigate, because then at that point it don't matter, because whoever would be able to be punished for it, so to speak, is deceased, because nobody lives beyond this age, so we're not going to even worry about it. So that's where those boxes come from.
That's true too. There was a little baby boy that went missing in Colorado Springs in 1938, and his case is still open.
Who was he? To whom? You know what?
1938 though?
No, you know what that tells me? That tells me that the story has been passed down from generation to generation, and every fucking generation is keeping up with the new generation of the police, asking them what happened. And they just don't have the heart to tell them, we're not looking because we don't care anymore. You care, and we'll keep it open. And every time you call us, we may say something a little different of how we didn't get anything. But at this point, the whole who are they gonna punish? That family's whole bloodline is gone.
That's true. That was what, 70? Oh, 80, 89, 80, almost 90 years ago. So I mean, yeah, there would be, and I'm not trying to, and I hate to say it like this, that baby's more than likely deceased.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not trying to be funny, way too much time has passed. Way too much time. But those kind of stories make you sad though. People that have been missing for a long, 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 long time, and then they just end up giving up, and it's just like, okay, you guys give up
without knowing what happened.
And yeah, like, how are the police okay with, okay, yeah, we're gonna stop investigating, but that family is gonna have questions for the rest of their life why you don't give a fuck.
They
Gotcha.
don't. It's not their family, and they don't really personally know them. When you watch a lot of these shows on the ID channel, like there's some detectives that are like in the fucking game to win it. I'm gonna find out who did this because they need to pay, because how dare you do something like this to another human being. There are some who have some of that energy, but it only ramps up to the level of the next one when they know someone or it's something personal. And there's just some that just stone out, don't give a fuck. It's a paycheck.
And those are the ones that dominate for some reason. And not even just a regular paycheck, but whatever paycheck they can collect. I'm not going to get into too much detail. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, my coffee is almost gone. I'm so sad.
I'm sorry, like, we tell the truth here. And plus, I've seen way too many shows of police officers being in the pockets of drug dealers and stuff. But, that's neither here nor there. But that's,
I'm still going to say that a lot of these unsolved cases, murder cases, or missing persons cases, are directly lying to the police.
Yep, absolutely.
And regardless of whether it is malicious or not, it could be accidental. Just like the case in is Mississippi. We talked about this. I don't know if it was on another podcast, because my life is days have run together. Which podcast it was about the mom who was looking for her son, and she had been looking for her son for 2 days, and she called the police department, and they told her they had no idea where he was, knowing the entire time that this mom was calling and going being frantic, they knew another police officer had hit him with his car, and they buried him in
Mhm.
a potter's field. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. She looked for her son for months. And they finally told her that, yeah, he's in it. Yeah, somebody, police officer killed him and he's buried. I when I saw that story,
But she had been calling and calling, and they knew the entire time. They knew the entire time what had happened, and
don't be
told this
surprised.
woman they did not know. I can't even remember how she found out. I'm gonna have to figure that out, because I'm so focused on the fact that they knew the entire time that this woman had been calling looking for her child and lied.
Guys, we gotta do better. What I'm gonna say about this case, because of the time that's elapsed. So mostly I'm probably just gonna probably speak to my older folks at this point
Mm.
who are in the Austin area.
Yeah.
If you were a young whippersnapper back then, back in the 70s, I'm sorry, I had to say whippersnapper. I love that phrase. If you were, around in Austin in that time and you were around Hyde Park and the 11th Avenue or 11th Street area, and you know something about the disappearance of these 3 women, say something. And what I was going to mention earlier about Miss Jennifer, who I will go ahead and put up again. So Miss Jennifer is the last one that you guys see here. She was last seen getting into a van. My question is, was this van seen when Debra went missing? Was this van seen when Brenda went missing?
Probably.
Did they, not trying to be like that person, but when people kidnap with vans, they usually keep the same van. They don't usually switch. They don't usually switch it. So was this van seen?
Somebody knows. Clearly, it wasn't their first time at that bar. Somebody knows. They just don't care. Or, intimidation. If you tell, I'm going to do to you what I did to this person. And so, they're scared.
I just find that to be really, really sad. Because, especially with Debra Stewart, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a few photographs of Miss Stewart and her family. She had actually just met the young lady so that's Miss Debra, and that's her little sister. And the gentleman, I apologize, I do not know who he is. But and this young lady had just met her sister when she was 7 years old. And that was taken away from her. I don't know how she's done it since then, but here's another one, and this is their father and them too. But I don't know how she's done it, and I don't know how Mr. Stewart did it, this whole time, because I'm not trying to be that person. I don't think he's alive. So
that was the 70s, and he looked like he was she was 20. So he had to be in his late 30s, early 40s.
40s, yep. So
but
what?
He still could be alive.
Sure.
He still could be alive. But he has that cigarette in his hand, so I'm not sure.
True that. Because like I said, there's not a lot of information when it comes to these 2 cases. It's really, really sad. Look how happy they all look together. And then little did she know she would get sick at work one spring day in 1976, and
that's it.
That would be that. Yeah, like it's just very, very disheartening.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're able to show those pictures of Miss Stewart, though. it was, like I said, it was really, really difficult to find photographs of the other two. There's not too much
They
on
don't.
them, and it makes it
It angers
sad.
me. It's anger. It makes me angry. Because no matter what, that was 76, and yeah, as you stated before, this is 24, and they may not be different, and probably has gotten a little bit worse now that the sign of the times, Black women have always been hated, so across the board.
Ain't that the truth?
Across the board.
It's absolutely ridiculous how little Black women's lives are taken. Like it's it's like I said, it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to cope with. I don't know. Hello, Miss Nikisha. Thank you for joining us this morning, afternoon, evening. We appreciate you, and we hope you are doing well. It's disheartening. It's very disheartening. And like you said, like people know something from back then, but
Had
like you
to.
said, a lot. But there, and I don't know. The thing that upsets me about cases like this is somebody held a secret for almost 50 years. And either died with it because they died with it, or they're still living with it. Because I mean, maybe they're offenders. Because I mean, all three of the women, they were in the same age group. Debra was 19, and Jennifer and Brenda were 20. And had they been alive today, they would be respectfully 68 and 16. No, I don't know. Wrong math. Oh,
70
yeah.
something.
Yeah, they'd be late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So if that person got to live to be 70 something, you're one lucky bastard, if I may say so myself, because you never got to pay for what you did to allegedly these three women. And the reason I say allegedly, because they really did not look into the husband of Brenda Moore. Let's just start there. They didn't look into the husband of Brenda. She was the one that was married and separated from her husband. Yes, she was also a prostitute. Yes, we know that. So obviously the lifestyle was sketchy, but
it don't
you're
even
right.
matter. Like
You're
what
right.
her profession is, it doesn't even matter. Just like she still was a human being at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good afternoon, Miss Harley. Thank you for joining us on this rare Saturday where me and Miss Fatu go live. We had some time today because we really wanted to start off the new year seeing our faces in real time. So we appreciate you guys joining us, and thank you for you guys who have tuned into Morning Mimosas this morning, afternoon, evening, etc. We are talking about the cases of Debra K. Stewart, Brenda Moore, and Jennifer Barton. All three of these women went missing in Austin, Texas in the spring of 1976. The first one to go missing was Miss Brenda Moore, and that was in March of 76. And Miss Debra and Miss Barton went missing in May of 76. The police allegedly think that all three of these cases are tied together based on location, age, and timing. Now, the thing I think is odd about the timing part is I know that March and May are 2 months apart. So could it be the same person and or persons? Yes, it could be. But you have to factor in the other key elements of their life. Miss Stewart also had a boyfriend. So was the boyfriend looked into? No. Was the husband of Miss Moore looked into? No. Did they look deeper into the two alleged men that came to the bar where Miss Jennifer was? Did they look into those two African American men that she was talking to and trying to exchange sex for? Did they look into them?
Mm-mm. No. So because I am me, I had to figure out what that damn age was. They would have been the 20-year-olds would be 68, so then this 19 would be 67. So they would still be alive. I wanted to get that together.
And I appreciate that.
Regardless of their chosen occupation at that time, life is ever changing. They could have completely done something different. They could have children, they could be married, they could have great grands, and all of the things could be happening. They could have lived a life. And I would like to hope that whoever did this to them, whether it be the same person, or two different people, or however that goes, because someone looking to get off can see how there's a serial somebody going on around town and do the same thing just to get off. But I feel like even if we went and got the file, if we could do this and two pieces of paper would fall out, if there is even one.
I was about to say, even if there is a file.
There is one. What if the husband and the boyfriend were the same person? Because he was single.
See, and that's the thing I love about us. We look at every single theory, right? Because we're not going to just go by them saying
Mm-mm.
the three stories were connected. In my honest opinion, Brenda's and Jennifer's could be connected because they were both. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
Area
what to
that
think about
connects
that.
them. It's the area that connects them.
Yeah. But that's it. But that's the only thing that connects them, and then the timing.
Well, but they did say in an article that I read, I think the one that I may have sent you, it states in there that they ran in a similar crowd. So somebody within all of their friend groups knows
Well,
them.
no, okay.
That's
That
why I
makes
was
sense.
saying, did they talk to their friend group? Because I mean, that could be the common denominator. Who knows?
And then that goes back to the theory of the husband.
Yeah.
The husband could be the boyfriend of the girl, and he could be having like a double life. Because I mean, men had double lives back then too, ladies and gentlemen. So
He could have
um,
absolutely saw when he was going to argue with his wife about being a prostitute. He could have saw this other lady and was attracted, and then there you go. Like there's just
but
hate the
just like
twists.
but just like we'll never know how many licks it gets to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop. We won't know this.
Also, we won't know the true number, because anyone that has the taste for murder and gets away with it, they're not going to stop at 3. That's not going to happen. You found your little nook at that point, just like Dahmer. It's gonna be a predominant color of people, and I'm gonna live in their neighborhood because they don't give a fuck about them. So we could do whatever we want for as long as we want.
So that I don't know if you remember when we did the story of someone who was dear to me, Miss Africa, the one that was murdered by the serial killer in Indiana.
Hmm.
It was her case that ended up getting justice for 5 other cold cases.
Yep.
Um, and it's stories like that, like you mentioned, some people, once they have that unfortunate thirst for being evil, they don't just stop at 3.
No.
And I
I'm telling you, there's more.
there is.
The only thing that would have stopped it to be at 3 is if man don't push it and they went somewhere else because of maybe the van was seen or whatever the case may be, they went to jail. Anything could have happened for them to go, but if they went somewhere else, they're going to do the same thing there. Because if I got away with it here, all I have to do is find the loopholes here and do the same thing and keep it moving until I am caught. And also realize that back then, police departments didn't talk to one another. And once you cross a state line, you basically are not really home free, but you're home free because they're not going to then check. I mean, that checking the database and to see what's connected. If they choose to do that now, they may find similar cases, but that wasn't being done then. And if they were from California,
I don't
you came
know.
from California to Texas, you probably did something there and came here till the heat was done, and you probably murdered along the way.
Sounds like Ted Bundy, because he murdered in multiple states. Lord, it's like I said, it's a sad one, guys. This is really, really, really tragic. These ladies did not deserve what happened to them, whatever happened to them. If you're tuning in, this is the disappearances of Debra K. Stewart, Brenda Moore, and Jennifer Barton. Miss Brenda, who was in the center, she went missing in March of 76. And Miss Debra and Miss Jennifer went missing in May of 76. You guys see the year. 76 was not a long time ago, but it was a long time ago for people to be missing, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
These ladies, based on our calculations, Miss Debra should be 67. And then Miss Brenda and Miss Jennifer should be 68 years of age. Guys, please let that sink in. They've been missing for almost 48 years. I just want you guys to see their faces as we're getting out of here.
And then you're telling me with all the construction that has happened everywhere in life, no one has found a body, bones, nothing?
It's very, very, very distasteful.
Very.
It's very disheartening. Miss Debra had a chronic kidney problem and was just going to take care of herself. What happened when she was on the way to the University of Texas? Someone knows. Miss Brenda Moore, who frequented East 11th Street in Austin, which means she was seen a lot. And she ran with the same people as the other two. You guys saw something. And then for the 2 men who were with Miss Jennifer the night she went missing in May and were trying to get her services, what happened to you old hats? What happened to these 3 women? We want to know. And I'm hoping during our lifetime, we will find out. But guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I know Miss Fatu got some some stuff to get done, and as do I.
Oh,
You guys know technically we're on our hiatus, but we had some time to come and say hi to you guys and make sure that we got our story out for you guys today. So, although time has lapsed, for those of you who were in the Austin area in 1976 during the springtime, if you guys remember anything from that time period, I don't even know who you guys should go to, in all honesty. Usually I would give you guys a spiel. Please call the Austin police with all the details, and I'd give you guys a phone number.
they have,
I don't
would have no clue. Who are you talking about? It's probably not even, wasn't brought over in the computerized.
That's sad. Even if somebody knew something, who would they go to?
Their parents died not knowing what happened to their children.
Yeah.
That's horrible, man. We got to do better.
We have to. We must come together as a community, guys. Let's not continue this snitches get stitches, being quiet about things that you guys know you guys shouldn't be quiet of due to, fear or retaliation. It's time to start coming forward. There's a lot of families that ended up suffering for years and years and years because you wanted to be, and I'm gonna say this, a bitch. And keep it to yourself. Let's not do that anymore. Let's get out of our fear and let's do something. Let's call your local precinct wherever you are, whatever state you are, whatever country you are. If you know something, say something. In the United States, I know if you call your local precinct, you can be anonymous. So stop being a bitch and call. Let's give these families justice. Let's give them some healing. And let's educate you on never holding in information like that again. It's time for people to have justice. I had to go ahead and say that. Because I'm so sick and tired of these cases getting colder and colder, knowing that somebody knows something. And here I go. You guys have started the motor, so I'm going to drive off. Xavier Walker of Denver, Colorado, 16 years old, was murdered in 2002. That case is still unsolved. And it was at a fight at a high school.
So somebody knows.
So you guys know something about that. Erin A. Thompson was a little girl who allegedly went missing in 2005, even though she could have been missing as early as 2002. You guys know something about that, and you guys are keeping quiet.
The kids, that's the siblings, right? The step siblings, right?
You guys have kept that quiet. It's time to speak on whatever you know about that. Eotis Harris was a gay Black man in Fort Worth, Texas, when he went missing. Why don't the police care about him? Especially because his car was found in 3 hours away in Aspermont.
After he wrote a cryptic Facebook message.
Where's the justice for him? That case is all over the place. Don't even get me started with that one.
There's no way to even figure anything out unless somebody talks, because they did not process his car whatsoever. All of anything probably was in that vehicle because he was at home prior to. So
Y'all need to say something about that case too. Selena Mays, pregnant 12-year-old girl who went missing December of 96, 9 months pregnant.
That one angers me. It's the same level. It's the same level as the baby that walked 5 miles to school. Clearly, that baby was being abused. She was taken away from people who was loving and raising her. And because of, I'm not saying the father did not need custody, but I
He
think that
didn't though.
I believe that there were reasons as to why he sought custody. And I believe that it was for the sole purpose of, I believe, for molestation reasons. And if I'm wrong, y'all come out and say something. However, I believe that the father was so obsessive over who she was pregnant by, he could have been angry, but I think that he also was messing with her. And that's when she first became, when she was talking to the family, how the calls got less and less and less. And he didn't know if that was his baby or if the cousin that everybody knew was molesting the children, if it was his baby, whose mom was the pastor. So while you are giving sermons, your son is giving inappropriate touches to young girls. And it probably wasn't just the girls. Let's be realistic about it. Because that's not really about sexuality. It's about control and
Yeah.
power. So there's why the lines probably were blurred all over the place. It was a house of sickness.
I'm glad you mentioned I should agree. She's the young lady that went missing at 9 years old in Shelby, North Carolina. Now, this is going to be something controversial that comes out of my mouth. And unfortunately, that's a part of life. Aisha's parents knows more. They know more than what they're saying.
I think she ruined their honeymoon. I'm not their honeymoon, their anniversary, because it was their anniversary. And they didn't appreciate it, and some things went too far, or she was the entertainment. Either way, they know, because you can't tell me that that child left with no jacket, with her backpack on, in the early mornings where it's dark and it's raining and windy, and then
Keep
18
going.
months later to walk 5 miles to school. Let's not forget that, because she was so enthralled in basketball,
Right.
and Valentine's Day or whatever
Keep going.
it was. Then 18 months later, her backpack that you claim she had on when she left the house in the rain
Right.
and bad weather and windy weather was found in pristine condition in a plastic bag at a construction site, which is probably where her remains are. There's
And
no
there you
way.
have it.
There's no way.
And there you have it. I mean, that's
It's the long and skinny of it.
I don't know if it was because of their anniversary. That's a very good theory. I definitely think that if the dad did something, the mom covered him for sure, or it was a family member of theirs that they knew was doing something to her, and they covered for that family member.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really hoping that family member was not her brother.
Well, I mean, they were sleeping in the same bed.
Same bed.
They were sleeping in the same bed. And how would he not know that she got out of the bed? The last thing he remembers was touching her. Do you remember that? So
maybe there's a family secret. And like I said, I don't want the Degree family to come after me, because I'm just here to get the truth for Aisha, because she's been missing. It'll be 24 years next month. So that's the reason that I mentioned that.
Coming for you, me, us, and whoever else is covering this story when you haven't spent the energy to find out what happened to your baby. Use your energy for that shit.
Y'all, we're gonna talk about the Aisha Degree story again. We're gonna mention Mr. Eotis Harris again. We're gonna talk about Aaron A. Thompson again, because we want these cases to be solved, even if we have to do it ourselves. Now, when it comes to Eotis Harris's story, we will not go to Aspermont, Texas. We've already told you guys in the episode we did about him, is that it's a sundown town. And I'm not doing that to my life. I want to find him for sure. And I want to get his mother and his friend and his family's justice and get the dog that lived justice. But, ask for mom. I mean, see you later. You just, if once I'm a detective, I can just ask them to give me whatever information that they so-called have. I'm like, please fax it to me, email me it. I'm not.
They probably don't even still have it. Let's be realistic. They probably got rid of it.
They probably did. They tried to. But anyways, y'all, you guys know who we are. We are Morning Mimosas, where we value criminal justice, healing, and education for the Black and minority communities. And I just want to put this little spiel in here. We hear about all people. Just because we talk about Black and minority, that doesn't mean we don't care about people outside of that. We have to focus on who we are. And we are 2 Black and minority women.
You gotta take care of your house before you go outside of your house anyway.
Yep. Charity starts
Mm-hmm.
in your backyard, which the United States government needs to understand. All right, y'all. You guys have a great rest of your day. We will see you guys next week. Ta-ta.
Bye, humans.